I'm Dr Nick Sutton, and I'm in the library here at the Oxford Centre for Hindu Studies, which is on Magdalen Street in the centre of Oxford. Our topic for today is an introduction to Hindu religious philosophy, Hindu religious theology, you might say. I'm going to focus primarily on the three main schools, three of the principal schools of Vedanta, because I think they those three schools, that of Shankara, Ramanuja and Madhvacharya, embody the range of Hindu understandings of the nature of the relationship between the individual self and God, which are very influential in terms of the living tradition. So we'll move on to them in a little while and their commentaries on scripture. But before that, I think we must mention the widely referred to view that there are six what are known as Astika or Orthodox schools of Hindu philosophy. And the word Astika, meaning Orthodox, means that these six schools all accept the authoritative nature of the Veda. They accept that the Veda is a source of absolute knowledge. It's a praman, Shabda praman, the revelation. Although, having said that, many of them don't make excessive or any real use of the Veda, but they do at least make that statement: we accept the Veda. And then they go on and do something else. But they're Astika in that sense. They're acceptable for Orthodox Brahmins to follow, and they stand in contrast to the Nastikas, those who do not accept the Veda, who would include such reprobates as Buddhists, Jains, and another group who are called Ajivakas. They're sometimes referred to, but I think they've died out, and other schools of thought as well. And the accusation of Gnosticism is sometimes levelled at different groups, like Pancharatra sometimes is accused of being Gnostica, or even the Shaivites, Shaiva Siddhanta is accused occasionally of being Gnostica. Even Yudhishthira in the Mahabharata is accused of being a Gnostica by others, because he doesn't believe in Kshatriya Dharma. He doesn't believe in fighting, so they say you're just a Nastika. Anyway, the Astika schools of philosophy, and I hope I can remember those. Some are still very significant, pretty well known in contemporary Hinduism, and some are of largely historical significance. So the major philosophical school, which is most influential in Hinduism, both historically and in a contemporary setting, would be the Vedanta system. And Vedanta itself, as we will see in a few minutes' time, is divided up into different schools of thought. So Vedanta is a broad heading under which there are different interpretations of Vedanta. Then we have the Sankhya system, which looks at the Vedanta system, just to recap, is based primarily on the interpretation of the Upanishads. It's based very closely to the Upanishads. The Sankhya system, just briefly to summarise, and we will again perhaps look more at the Sankhya in later classes, but Sankhya looks to analyse the elements of which the material manifestation is composed. Matter is referred to by the term Prakriti, and the Sankhya analyses Prakriti as being composed of usually 24 different elements. And I don't think we've got time here to run through all the 24 elements, but they're things like the five great elements: earth, water, fire, air, space, the senses, the smelling, hearing, touching, tasting, etc., the objects that are experienced, sound, form, etc. So it comes to a grand total of 24, and then it draws the distinction that the real self, the Atman, the Purush, is something different. And the final realization of Sankhya is often stated to be as Anyoham, I am that which is different, I am the other. Because there's these 24 different, and that's what my body consists of, but I, the true self, is Purush, which is eternal and unchangeable. And as with Vedanta, or some schools of Vedanta, it's a what we'd call a soteriological system. It's a system of thought that aims at granting salvation, liberation from rebirth. And again, liberation from rebirth is by means of knowledge. If you know yourself to be different from the body, then you come to be the Purush. You exist as Purush. So it's Sankhya itself means analysis, or even counting, enumeration. I was talking to a Hindu lady who's a teacher in Leicester. She told me that they use in Gujarati the word Sankhya. I'm not sure if this is true, but she said sometimes when they take the children back on the school bus and they do the count, they say, we do the Sankhya. So whether that's true or not, I can't say, but that's what I was told. So the same way, we enumerate, we analyse the elements of the reality we inhabit, and we thereby reach the philosophical conclusion that I, myself, the true self, is not related to these material elements of which my body is composed. Okay, that's two. Vedanta, Sankhya. Thirdly, we've got the yoga system. The yoga system is very closely related to Sankhya, and the theoretical, philosophical basis of yoga is almost entirely the same as Sankhya. It's sometimes said that the distinction is that Sankhya is atheistic because it doesn't usually have a position of God within it. It's interesting if we read the actual text of the Sankhya Karika, because it doesn't deny God, but it's not really interested in God. Except, anyway, there are some Sankhya treatises which do add a 26th element, which is God, found in the Mahabharata actually, but generally speaking, Orthodox Sankhya doesn't talk about God. But it's sometimes said that yoga includes Ishwar Pranidhan, I think, as one of the preliminary practices of yoga, and therefore it's theistic. But actually, if we look at yoga, although it does perhaps acknowledge, certainly Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the original yoga text, don't really make any substantial reference to the existence of a deity. Certainly in gaining relief from rebirth, it's not that God is going to help the practitioner of yoga and get you through it. God is perhaps a concept that they acknowledge, but it's not integral to yoga system. I'm talking about Patanjali's yoga, which is the seminal text on Orthodox yoga called the Yoga Sutras. Each of the system of philosophy, the 6 systems, has its own text. Mostly they're referred to as sutras. Sankhya, it's the Sankhya Karika of Ishwar Krishna. Vedanta, it's the Vedanta Sutras of Badarayana. And in yoga system, it's the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The main feature about yoga is that it's primarily concerned with practice rather than philosophizing. So yoga is really teaching you how to come to the realization of the conclusion taught by Sankhya. And the system it teaches is the Ashtanga Yoga, the yoga practice of 8 limbs, culminating in meditation on the Atman, the self within, and thereby realizing the existence of the Atman. So that if you like, the theoretical knowledge taught by Sankhya becomes actually experiential knowledge through yoga practices. Okay, so I would say that Vedanta, Sankhya and yoga, for various reasons, still play a significant role in contemporary Hindu practice. Now, the next 3 systems, I can call them, is Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and then Mimamsa. And I'll touch on these only briefly because I'm not sure if there are still schools of Nyaya, Vaisheshika and Mimamsa. I think there were in existence up until about the 16th, 17th centuries, but whether there are still contemporary schools, I would be surprised to see if you would meet anyone and say, oh, I'm a follower of the Nyaya system. Nyaya means strictly logic. It's a theistic system, and it's what we perhaps in the West would refer to as natural theology. It seeks to demonstrate, prove the existence of God, not by reference to the Veda or the Upanishads, but by analysing logically the nature of the world. And what it's saying is really the world is an effect, therefore it must have a cause. Because there is a creation, there must be a creator, and to prove the existence of God by a process of inference. It's a common practice in Christian theology as well, and there are many parallels between Nyaya and Christian theology.